Hired you because you're a woman?
I'm absolutely certain that that was part of it, and I think it was probably a good move.
You're currently defending what many would regard as the most hated man in America. Why are you defending him?
Number one, Harvey has a right to a defense. I am not the moral police on Harvey Weinstein. That's not my job. It's not the jury's job either. If they really look at the evidence that's going to be presented to them, I think they're going to find him not guilty. Communications between Harvey and women, always friendly, sometimes romantic. That would lead, I think, any reasonable person to think that the claims are untrue.
There are plenty of experts out there who say it's fairly well documented that a lot of times when women are assaulted, will communicate with the person they accuse because they're trying to normalize something traumatic that happened to them, and that this isn't unexpected behavior.
There are some doctors that will say that. We will discredit the fact that there is no research to prove that.
So you don't believe that that's the case?
I don't.
I'm going to make a brief statement. I'm going to distribute a brief written statement, and I may take a few questions. Mr. Weinstein will enter a plea of not guilty. We intend to move very quickly to dismiss these charges. We believe that they are constitutionally flawed. We believe that they are not factually supported by the evidence, and we believe that at the end of the process, Mr. Weinstein will be exonerated. Someone inside asked me how Mr. Weinstein feels this morning, and my response was, as well as can be expected when you are accused of a crime that you vehemently deny having committed. So we are going through the process. Today is the first step. We knew that Mr. Weinstein was under investigation for more than 7 months. He voluntarily surrendered this morning, and we have met all of the bail conditions by agreement so that we would not have extended court proceedings. We have a right to revisit any issue in this case later in the event that an indictment is returned, and I anticipate that this case will ultimately be resolved favorably as to Mr. Weinstein. I'm going to take just one or two questions.
And what are the bond? Will you put it before a grand jury?
I'm going to make that decision next week.
And what are the bond conditions?
Does he maintain that these relationships were consensual?
Mr. Weinstein has always maintained that any sexual activity he engaged in was consensual. He has vehemently denied any of the allegations which suggest that he engaged in non-consensual sexual activity. Many of these allegations are long overdue, quite frankly, having been made about events that are alleged to have occurred many years ago. They were not reported to the police at the time these events occurred, and I anticipate that the women who have made these allegations, when subjected to cross-examination, in the event we even get that far, that the charges will not be believed by 12 people, assuming we get 12 fair people who are not consumed by the movement that seems to have overtaken this case.
What are the details of the bail? What are the details of the bail conditions? And is he wearing an ankle bracelet?
I think the details of the bail conditions were discussed.
I ask that you simply email them to me. Most of you should have my private email, and if not, there's materials there that have my contact information.
Can we ask you if? Sorry, I just closed the window.
That's
to describe the nature of that settlement. What was settled and what?
Well, you know, and is it John?
Charlie.
Charlie, I'm sorry, Charlie. The Illinois rules of professional conduct require strict confidentiality on my part. However, I will say that anybody that can read the four corners of the document should be able to understand the nature of what took place in that matter.
And which case?
This is the forcible entry detainer case, I think, that Charlie was asking about.
Do you have the documents have not been imaged, so they're not available publicly on the court computer? So do you have a copy? Or can we
Well, I'm going to leave that to you guys and to your resources, but I will say that I'm the attorney of record on the case. I was involved in the negotiation of the settlement, and that eviction matter was settled by an agreed order, okay, via agreed orders. There was not an award of any kind. There was an agreement that was made by the party.
Did money change hands?
Okay, I want to thank you guys very much. If you have any further questions.
And then the one today regarding the inspection.
The City of Chicago Building Code violations case, our statement with respect to that is that both the owners of the property and the tenant are cooperating fully with the City of Chicago to ensure that those premises are remaining code compliant.
And you mentioned the allegations are...
There is no truth to the specious allegations regarding that
So
property.
nobody's living there.
There's no truth to any of the specious allegations regarding the property.
First of all, under the law, nothing could be more appropriate. We're really, really happy, not only for Aaron, but for his family. And we're all determined to change the legacy of Aaron Hernandez. That's something that everyone who knew him, who truly knew him, is concerned about.
What are the consequences, Jose, about an abatement? What happens? I mean, can you talk about his NFL salary, any possible pension, any other consequences?
How the NFL treats him from this point forward remains to be seen. And we're in discussions with his agents to see where he stands. They're better equipped as it relates to the Players Association and things like that. So I'm not exactly certain this makes a difference. My understanding is if he had a pension, that this would not have disqualified him for that. So, but again, I have to defer to them, to those that know that area of law better than myself.
He was fired and was in the middle of a contract. Are you folks going to try to get the balance due on his contract?
You know, all of that remains to be seen. I mean, we just buried him. We just had his funeral not too long ago, so we're not racing to the courthouse to try and file anything that's for anything related to that at this point. Right now, we're doing our best to ensure that his loved ones are taken care of.
This case is testing the presumption of innocence in our country, and you have a man who needs to stand trial for these specific acts, and he should be entitled to the same presumption as everyone else. And whenever you have a frontal assault like that, I think it's important for not only the members of our judiciary, but as all of us who work in the justice system and in the press who cover it, to constantly enforce and reinforce and maintain that presumption of innocence, because it's a threat to us all.
Labeling for what they may be is what the government does. That's part of their indictment process. They come up with a series of things they call facts or from their investigation, and then they decide to say, this is a label we're going to attribute. And they have to prove that. It's the government's burden to prove that. It's not against the rules for us to then look at the same set of facts and have a different description of what people are. When I call these people groupies, I mean, it almost fits the definition. Traveling with the band, going to see the band, wanting to be with the band, that is the definition of a groupie, right? Whether they're disgruntled or they're showing groupie remorse is a position I take, and I think the facts are going to bear out that you have people who voluntarily were engaged in wanting to hang around with a group. Now, the way the government paints it out to be an enterprise doesn't necessarily mean that R. Kelly was involved in a lot of these things, but that possibly people under him were, but they all want to point the finger upstairs. We're going to have to deal with that, but the discovery will help us break that down on who it is. That's like if someone to say all press is completely horrible. You'll be like, whoa, why are you picking on me?
Someone does say that.
Yeah, someone does say
every
that.
day.
It's the president, yeah. So you would say, I don't want to be a part of that enterprise or that group, and you would want to prove why you shouldn't be, or that another reporter did something that you shouldn't be held liable for.
And remember, when you say,
hold on,
when you say we don't take it, we take this incredibly seriously. That's why we've got a large team.
Yeah.
We take it seriously. We're an advocate. We're advocates for our client. That's what we're going to do in the manner we feel is appropriate under the circumstances, but we take it seriously.
Doug, did you expect the federal district judge to be persuaded by a David Lee Roth video? Is that really taking it seriously?
Well, I very much take David Lee Roth seriously sometimes, but no. The argument was not to take David Lee Roth seriously, but the concept that, in the courts don't always see everything. They don't always understand every industry. So a good way, and this was just by happenstance, I happened to be on YouTube a couple of weeks ago when I saw this, the concept of what I'm trying to portray as took place, the groupie experience, is no better place explained than in that short interview. It explains the groupie experience and explains that it's a common thing. And while some people may say, oh, well, that might not be applicable here, you'd be surprised how everybody says, yeah, that's exactly what the groupie experience is. And that's what we allege is what took place here. And along the way, nobody had anything bad to say about it until such time as there was a beating on the chest and a call to arms. Hey, remember that groupie experience you really enjoyed and loved? Well, guess what? That may be something that was bad for you. You want to talk about it? And here we are.
You look old enough to remember Men at Work,
Yeah.
right? You remember Men at Work? What was Men at Work's first big song? What was it called? Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free. I got my
She was
MTV.
just 17, you know what I mean?
Oh, Dire
People have some
Straits,
bad
right?
stuff.
Dire
Yes,
Straits, I'm
yes.
sorry.
Now, I'm not saying they don't have or they do have whatever it is they're claiming. I've seen what the government has. Are they stretching it a little to say that they have X, Y, and Z? Yes, they are. Are they making it up completely? No, of course they're not. The government wouldn't do that. Listen, the government's on the other side of the case, but I'm not saying anything bad about the government. The government's doing their job to do what they have to do. And I understand that they're there to protect the United States citizens. I get it all. That's why the adversarial system works so well. But now it's our job to challenge that as we get more discovery. There's been 3 mailings of discovery, the last one to come on December 5th. So we have a bunch of discovery now, and in that discovery, we come up with the ability to challenge that presumption or that position the government sets forth and to get Robert Louis.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to do right at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
We'll take that discovery and say, Judge, the government said they have X, Y, and Z. Well, we've seen their X, Y, and Z, and it's not how they purported it to be. Well, we disagree, Judge. Well, the judge is going to look at it and be like, yeah, I kind of thought you had him on video robbing 20 banks on this bank robbery charge, and you don't have him on video. You just said somebody saw a black guy go into a bank and he was singing "I Believe I Could Fly" when he didn't. I mean, it could be R. Kelly, it could not be. That's not enough presumption to keep a man locked up.
Right.
Kind of thing. Of course,
So check this out. Now, I got 2 questions. People want to know what you think about the Rashonda thing. Is how's that about your view on the Rashonda thing and the defense fund?
Okay, first, Rashonda thing. I'm not at liberty to discuss it. Simple.
Okay, leave it alone. We're going to end that right there. Okay, now the defense fund.
About the defense fund. Oh, this is good. There seems to be no problem recently, but we have a defense fund.
Can you tell the people right now on my live where could they donate to the defense fund?
We are not requesting a penny. I want to make that very clear. We're not, Robert's not, nobody's requesting. We have received, since the beginning of this matter, an inordinate amount of requests. We want to help, And some people just find another way and mail me checks. So, while I am not asking for it, if anybody does want to donate for any reason, they just simply send a check payable to me to my office, and it just says R. Kelly Defense Fund on the bottom. But even if you don't put that in there, if you say, I want to help R. Kelly, I'll know what it's for, and here's the security part of it. It gets deposited right into what's called an IOLTA trust account, which is governed and monitored by the state bar, so everything's above board, and not 1 penny of it has been used yet. Money has gone into the account. Not 1 penny of it's been used yet. It's sitting there only to use for the experts once we receive and review all discovery. No lawyer's taken any money. Not 1 penny. No lawyer has even asked me for a dime of it, and I haven't taken 1 penny at all. So the client is aware of everything at all times, what's going on. And he's like, listen, if people want to help, that's fantastic. I could always use the help. And more so than just the money, people send a check and then send little notes. By the way, I knew this person at this point. You should check into this because I knew that guy talked to this guy. And you know what? We have a big on my wall in my office. It's one of those walls you can write on and then erase. On that wall is a big flow chart of everything that's involved in this case. And you'd be surprised how many people have talked to, interviewed, and or recorded these people who are now witnesses or who are now alleged victims in this case who say other stuff than it seems that they've said to the government. So that helps. It helps us to gather that information.
Okay. Now the person got a question to say why you and Steve is not on the same page. I don't know what that meant, but I guess with the
No, I understand what that means. And they're completely wrong. Steve and I talk regularly. We're on Steve, myself, Michael, Tom, and any of all the tangential, Nicole, all the tangential, Ray, and the other guys. We're all on the same page. We're maybe involved in different cases. Like, for example, Steve is on the lead counsel in the Chicago case and in the state case and in the federal case out in Chicago. I'm not involved in the federal case out in Chicago because there's nothing I can add to it that I'm not already accomplishing here. I'm the New York case. I'm taking care of that one here, and Steve is counsel out here as well in the federal case. I'm also counsel under Steve in the Chicago case, the state case. So
Okay.
there's no not getting along. We get along. We talk almost every day. We share documents and evidence. We're all on emails with each other. For some reason, people like to believe. Here's the thing. Someone contacted Steve recently and said, someone wants to donate money. What do you do? He said, I'm not involved in that, and don't give money to any fake organizations. And that was a proper thing for him to say, because he doesn't want to give out any other false information, because he knows I already put that information out there. Should he have maybe said, just, contact Doug? He could have said that, but why is he wasting his time doing that? He knows it's already out there. He's a busy guy. He got a million cases going on. He got murder cases. He got all kinds of good trials. He's an excellent attorney. He's very high in demand before this case, right? So we are all on the same page and all working together. And do we have legal issues that we go back and forth with? Sometimes we only agree on 100%, but that's what you want. You don't want yes men and women. You want people to argue back and forth, but to come up with the right, proper thing.
Okay. Hey, I thank you for calling in. Man, you shocked me today. I'm surprised you didn't popped on my live.
I figured I'd get a little shot. I saw Captain Crunch. I couldn't resist.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. I guess the cereal must have did it.
No, it's you. You're a good man.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Hey, it's a pleasure, man. You can always call and man, hey, people don't believe that I don't have people that really watch my live that really see that I'm really a cool guy, a good guy. I mean, not that I need validation, but I
can't say I'm not vouching. I'm just saying I know you a little bit, and I like talking to you. So I don't know about the rest of you. I don't think you should be driving all the time and talking on the phone. But that's you. That's all right.
Hey, yeah, it's cool. So, hey, Doug, I wish you safe travels, man. We gonna have to chop it up one time, man, again on my YouTube channel, and so that people can hear from you out there, whatever, man. And everybody out there, thank you for calling in. And so forth. This was unexpected, y'all. I didn't know Doug was gonna pop in on my.
It was unexpected for me too. I happened to be sitting on the phone, just sitting here prepping for the car to come pick us up, and I saw that it popped up on the thing. I said, "Yeah, let me see what my man's up to."
Okay, hey man, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling, man. And hey, free Kales.
Take care, man.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Safe travels.
Yep.
Wow.
Hi, this is your girl, Texas Black Diamond. I hope you are enjoying your Friday evening. I'm just here to address some things. I was actually here with a client, and she's a very educated woman. She's a doctor, and I was taking care of some paperwork for her. And someone called me, and they was like, I need you to look at this video, and I need you to look at this video. I'm like, oh, hell, what's going on now? And the situation with it's about Kevin and a I guess you could say blogger issues with him. And I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna first off and I want to talk to Anton Douglas. I want to thank you on the behalf of R. Kelly supporters, people that's actually out here trying to show his innocence, trying to bring facts and trying to point out lies to try to help prove his innocence, to free him. I want to thank you for choosing to come on to a blogger's page and speak to us. No, we're not CNN. No, we're not TMZ. No, we're not ABC News. No, we're not Chicago News. But thank you for coming to the social media that's out here supporting Robert Sylvester Kelly. And thank you for speaking and answering the questions that you can answer us. We feel like because we are those supporters and we love Robert, we donate to him, volunteer to donate to his defense fund. And thank you for accepting it for us. You have not asked us for a dime, and we thank you for allowing us to send it to your place of business. Thank you again. I want to thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule while you was on your way to vacationing or whatever it was, that you wanted to give us some good news. You wanted to give us something to look forward to encourage us, because we had people that, was losing hope and just was sick of all hearing the bad news. And we appreciate you, Anton Douglas, for giving us some good news for a change, because the supporters needed that. And we thank you so much for that. We thank you. And DJ Tyson, thank you for allowing us to share this. You shared this with us and uplifted us, and we appreciate that. Okay, and my clients, she actually was listening to the videos with me, and she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "Should you address that?" And I talked to her about it, and I said, I followed DJ Tyson way before the situation with Robert Sylvester Kelly happened, and I said he's a funny man. I said he's really funny. I said he talk about relationships and different things. He's just a funny person. And, he actually, what made me come onto his page, I was just browsing through my Facebook page, and he was actually DJing, and he was playing some of R. Kelly's music, and I'm like, he playing his music, and that what made me get on to his channel. So he existed on social media way before this here. So he's not on here to get on here using R. Kelly name like a whole lot of people, we could say, using R. Kelly name, but we're not doing that. Okay. At the end of the day, God has used so many people in many ways to try to get things done, and it don't have to be nobody that's related to Robert Sylvester Kelly. It don't have to be nobody in his camp, because in that case we could look at you side eye, because it seemed like everybody that was in his camp, the majority, 97% of the people in his camp, did him harm. Okay, so at the end of the day, yes, just like my client, she said, well, she said, I was a non-believer, and when I saw the surviving lifetime thing, I believed that he was guilty, until you started talking to me. You even got my husband believing in his innocence, and he calling BS on it. So what was wrong with him changing his point of view? And I remember and I was on his live at that time when he was talking about it. He felt the way a lot of people had felt about the situation. And I'm like, one day you're gonna come to the light, because he's innocent. And I'm like, I'm riding for him. I believe him all the way. And so it was just a discussion that they had, and so just like with the if anybody is familiar with the dance floor rape, he felt the same way about that, and he went out about about the man doing what he did. He said, I have daughters, and stuff like that. So just like he did with that, and other people, they started seeing the foolery and the bullshit and the lies, and he was like, hold up, this an innocent man here that they messing with, and so he decided to help come and join this fight. Just like when he found out about the dance floor rape thing, that it was some bullshit, and the first thing DJ Tyson said, these women gonna have to stop this mess, because they are messing up innocent people's lives. So he decided to come and fight with us. Okay, he decided to come fight with us. And so then, even with the case with the woman, he felt some kind of way about it. So like I said, it's nothing wrong with anybody that's, when they see some bullshit and some lies, and they decide I want to help fight this, because they doing this is wrong. Yes, I believe when I watched the Lifetime mess that this is what it was, because it made it seem so real. You know how many clients I convinced about his innocence? I only have one. I can't beat her down with a stick to believe that he's innocent, but I got the rest of them to believe. So what's wrong with DJ Tyson believing in his innocence now? It's a lot of people felt the same way that DJ Tyson felt before, but now they feel different. And I don't understand how a person can go against this man and try to belittle him and talk about what he don't have and what they got and stuff like that. Everybody go through some things. Sometimes God put us in a position because he got something better for us. Since we want to talk about the Bible and stuff, and he talked about having a faith of a mustard seed. And so at the end of the day, I appreciate you, DJ Tyson. I know Anton Douglas and the other attorneys appreciate you. And I'm not going to let the demonic spirit step in and try to kill the spirit of some good news that finally come into our circle of supporters to help Robert Sylvester Kelly. I'm not going to let that drain me. And don't you let it drain you. And don't worry about one person that has so much grudge against you and that they can go to the ops and laugh and talk with the ops that's always posting negative stuff about Robert Sylvester Kelly. And it's not a problem to go over there and conversate with them. But it's a problem with you. Whatever reason, I don't know. Because a lot of people have said bad things about Robert Sylvester Kelly. And then they see people and they follow us and they follow what we trying to show them and they see it and then they turn to the come to the light. They come to the light, and that's what we're supposed to do. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Because a lot of stuff that happened, God sent that stuff put that in your presence, DJ Tyson, for a reason. God does everything for a reason, sweetheart. So don't you let this get you down. You know, I'm not worried about what you have and don't have. I want to see you do good, my brother. But we see brothers fighting against brothers, and somebody's so mad at a person that they want to degrade them and put them down, come out what they don't have. That's sad to me. And I said it. But once again, on the behalf of Robert Sylvester Kelly supporters and R. Kelly fans, Anton Douglas, thank you, because thank you for answering the question the best way you can, just like they would do on CNN, just like they would do with ABC and CBS and everybody else's news, because those the people that's putting out negative things about Robert Sylvester Kelly. But thank you for coming to our circle and to our news, to the social media world news for Robert Sylvester Kelly, to give us some good news and speak to us the same way that y'all would do to those CNN and TMZ and everybody. I appreciate you for that, Anton Douglas. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for tuning in to Texas Black Diamond Entertainment. And I approve this message.